Your healing journey is in the shape of a pendulum. So if you think of how a pendulum works, when it's pulled to one side, when it's off of center, it takes energy all the time to hold it there. That's why when you're off of your center, when you're off of your authenticity, then you're exhausted. And when you release what is off center, then there's momentum that swings you back the other way on that pendulum. And what happens is that's a really important point to be in contrast. So when you go with the momentum, you get far enough away from the thing that was hurting you that you have the distance to look back and say, that was not okay, because now you have the perspective. Over here is where the anger is. The anger is a completely valid response to what was happening when you were off center. Over here with the anger is when you find your authenticity, is when you get clarity on who you are, but you don't want to stay here. You don't want to live here. Anger is really important for clarity, and anger is extremely important because it is when you have energy to take action to make change. That is why women are taught out of all of the emotions to never feel anger, and it's unacceptable because it's the emotion that you get to where you start actually taking action to make a difference. When you're off center, and before you've swung over to anger, so when you're off center, it's lower vibration emotions like shame and the things that take your energy from you where you're drained. So here you have energy to swing over to this side. That energy is just inherent in the reaction. So you're over with anger, you're over with contrast, your anger is justified, you're getting clarity. But if you stay on this side and hold yourself there unnaturally, then what happens is you become exhausted over there, right? Because it's not the natural swing that took you over to contrast. Now, if you try to stay there for longer than is natural, you're going to be exhausted, and your personality starts becoming about anger. And you don't want to make your personality any one emotion. So the anger is important, but just enough to get contrast. Then you organically come back to center. So you start off center, exhausted. When you let go of that, it's a really courageous and important choice. We swing over to where we have anger and contrast and we get clarity, and then we naturally come to center. Center is an effortless, authentic place. Center is where we want to live, but do not skip the anger part, because if you try to let go of something that doesn't serve you and you don't swing over with a natural momentum to contrast and clarity, what happens is it still becomes forced, and then you turn into a pendulum back and forth where you're off center in one way, and then you're off center because you're reacting, because you're like, I don't want to be like that, and then you're off center because you're like, well, I don't want to be like the thing that I reacted to. Let go. Come back to center and understand that if you are in the stage of anger, feel it, fully feel it. Women are taught not to feel it because it's so important in you taking action, you being empowered in your own life, deciding what you want. But where you want to land in a natural, organic motion, just like the pendulum, is the effortless place where you are centered.